Hello, my name is James Woodcock from jameswoodcock.co.uk, and today I'm pleased to welcome back Dale Mugford from Brave New Code, who is here to share details about their latest WordPress plugin, WordTwit Pro. So thanks for joining me again, Dale.
Cheers.
So for those that missed our original podcast, who are Brave New Code?
We're a WordPress plugin studio from Canada, just a small company, and we're behind WordTwit Pro, WP Touch Pro, WP Touch, WordTwit, the free versions, Earth Hour, Piggy, all those plugins.
So you have quite a few under your belt now.
Yeah, we're working up the list.
So you've recently announced WordTwit Pro, but what is WordTwit?
So WordTwit is a plugin that will automatically push tweets from WordPress to Twitter, so it'll tweet your post titles. And in the free version, that's pretty much all that it did. In the pro version, it allows a lot more control to add hashtags, scheduling, multiple tweets to go out for a single post, etc. So it's really building on the free version, but that's the core of its functionality is pushing tweets to Twitter from WordPress, so that you don't have to go over to WordPress and tweet that you just posted something, etc. You can publish your post and it'll automatically push out to all your Twitter followers that you have a new blog entry or what have you.
So how long has the free version already been available for?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's been available for about 2.5 years.
So why pro version now?
Well, it's a similar path to WP Touch Pro, which is, we wanted to add all these features. Users said, hey, we wanted to do this, 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 and this. And we looked at it and said, well, it's a huge pile of work, and for an open source plugin, we just felt that, it was too much work to give away for free. So, we said, well, why don't we put all of these things into a pro version and see what the response is? And so far, the response has been pretty good. I mean, Twitter's exploded. It's a massive. I mean, it's a 1-2 punch now with Facebook and Twitter as the two major social networking tools. So that certainly helps in terms of people making the decision to say, hey, I want a really good tool for my website to promote myself on Twitter.
So why Twitter, not Facebook then?
Well, we never said that it wouldn't do Facebook.
Oh, is this something that might be coming in the future, or it's already?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I can disclose that we really struggled with, prior to release, do we change the name? Because we really felt that it was going to go beyond Twitter and include Facebook and potentially other things like maybe Google Plus now, right? So we don't know where it's going to end up, but we do know we want to expand to other social networks. And the question was, well, will WordTwit Pro limit people's understanding of what the plugin could do? And we came up with a couple of really great names, but we also felt that if we really wanted to change the name, we should change the name down the road when it actually supports those other services as opposed to before. So yeah, so it will support Facebook. It will likely support Google Plus. It'll likely support more than that. Much different than WP Touch Pro is, with WordTwit, I find it's very mathematic. Features either work or they don't work. There's not a lot of gray area. And with WP Touch Pro, because it has to work in so many different environments, it's got the theme component to it, and there's a lot of subjectivity in design and how this should work and how that should work. So, with WordTwit Pro, we hope that we can just iterate and build on it and add all kinds of great features to it, and they're a lot easier to test on. Just because it's really the back-end stuff. There's no real front-end presentation stuff to deal with like WP Touch Pro has.
So it is much more than simply posting to Twitter. In fact, you can do much more with the plugin, such as tag support, scheduled posting, multiple posting, integration with WP Touch, which I believe is coming quite soon as well. Tweet
I was
logging.
playing with that this morning, actually.
well, let's start there then. So integration with WP Touch, because that isn't actually out right now.
So this is on iPad, and so there you can see it there. So if you enable your tweets, you can have your latest tweets showing as a popover on iPad. And you can choose which accounts. So obviously WordTwit Pro supports multiple accounts, multiple Twitter accounts. And of course you can tie the Twitter accounts to WordPress accounts. So you can as well decide whether an account is shared, meaning other WordPress users on your site, if you have a multi-author site, which authors can access which Twitter accounts, etc. And then when it comes to presentation on iPad or on mobile, you can decide which authors are going to be displayed, and they're displayed chronologically here on iPad. And it's very similar to this presentation as you'll find on mobile as well. So you'll just get a list of the latest tweets there. So right now it's not very configurable. I think it shows the last 10 or so, but we'll add some more configuration options. But integration is just super simple now. If you have WordTwit Pro and WP Touch Pro, you'll now find an extension section in WP Touch Pro as of the 2.3 update. You just turn it on, choose the accounts you want to show, and whether you want to show it on mobile, iPad, or both, and away you go.
Excellent. So we've got tag support. Let's go into
hashtag support is, I think it's a good implementation. Obviously, you can add multiple hashtags at a time. I don't know if you tried that yourself, James, but if you just comma separate it and hit enter on the keyboard, and it'll separate them all and add them. One of the features that you mentioned in our forums, which I think is a really good extension, is to build out the support. So to be able to add different Twitter users very simply and easily is something that we'll toy around with. So those are the kinds of things that we're very careful about, because to add that feature, I think, is not very difficult. To add the feature in a way which is easy to use makes a lot of sense, or maybe goes beyond what people thought of the implementation. Say, for instance, for yourself, that takes that extra legwork, and that's what we like to consider is what's the best way to add this, because it's going to be a great feature, but what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, it's not all about function, is it? It's the best way to implement it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the marriage of form and function, and we try to consider that. It doesn't mean we get it right all the time, but we try to really look at those angles, and usually it's trial and error. I mean, it's one of the best ways to do this kind of work is to try it out this way, see how it feels. We push out maybe a private beta to the people that are working around us and get their thoughts on it, and then if we're still in doubt, as you've seen, we'll push out public betas in our forums to our customers, and they can try it out, and we get some feedback there and say, okay, this works, or this doesn't work, or needs more work, right?
And of course, if you have WordTwit Pro, you do get the benefit of the extra forums for support and advice, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, one of the things is that for any of the pro licenses, it's not just obviously, you're not really, I mean, to be honest, they're GPL, so you're not really paying for the product. What you're paying for is the support and the license to upgrade to newer versions. That's really what, premium GPL plugins offer. So, so we do our best to offer the best support that we can. Our support guru, Emilio, is always on top of things, and he's just amazing with how much he knows. I mean, he's the kind of person where we don't have to give him too much of a rundown on new features and new changes. He's always on top of it. He's always, there to ask us questions if he has any concerns about, how does this work? How should that happen? And so we feel we offer pretty good support for the money, and you've experienced it yourself. So, I mean, you can speak to that, whether you feel it's worth it or not.
No, it definitely works very well, and the response is always very quick.
Great. So, yeah, to go back, hashtags, there would probably be some additions around that as well. I think there's some interest in having default hashtags, which ones you would, by default always include, maybe always include on certain categories or whatever. So I think, that's our, modus operandi. We start with the core set of features and then see what users want and then build them up over time. So for this plugin, I think it could be very granular, but there's always that trade-off, which is every time you add features, you add complexity. So we have to be careful about how we build out that complexity so that it still makes sense, so that people aren't overwhelmed with the functionality or overlook some of the functionality, which we find with WP Touch Pro already. So it's at a dangerous place with WP Touch Pro. So,
well, it's a learning curve for everybody, isn't it? And
yeah,
that's why the function is also important, but crucially, having it easy to use as well.
That's right.
And I'm sure it's an ongoing battle for you all.
Oh, it totally is. Yep.
So scheduled posting, why would we want to schedule a tweet? What's the advantage there?
Well, it's funny you ask that question, because that's really the path of when we add certain features, we say that to ourselves. We say, why would we do this? Why would someone want this? What's the use case scenario? Who is going to use this feature, and how would they want it to be implemented? We can't always answer that question the exact same way that you might answer it for yourself. But, when it came to scheduling, it was simply, I know for myself, several times with WordTwit, the free version, I would, publish an entry, and then I look at it even if I spell check that entry 4 times, when I publish it, I go, oh, there's something I wanted to change, or that's not quite right, or there's a spelling error. So if I had been able to delay that tweet that went out with WordTwit by 15 minutes or so, then I might have saved myself some of the embarrassment of my readers going, hey, did you know that you misspelt, the word love, or whatever it is, So we added a delay feature, but on top of delay is scheduling, and that just allows you to send multiple tweets at specified interval. So we'll extend that functionality as well. But I think why you'd want to do that is because your readership might be in different time zones, different time periods. There's different peaks on Twitter, and so you might want to, publish the post at 8 a.m. and then let people know at 8 a.m., also at noon, and maybe later in the day that you had that post that went out, so that the different readers that might be following you will have a chance to see that entry was published. I think that's the most significant use case scenario. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I mean, as you're saying, Twitter, you can be following that many people. Mm-hmm. Your tweet just disappears among all the other tweets that exist. So having multiple tweets definitely has an advantage. And of course, it's a worldwide audience, so you've got people awake at different times of the 24-hour period. So what I tend to do is have it tweet 3 times at 8-hour intervals.
Yes, that's kind of in my head was the main use case scenario, was trying to get those 3 different blocks of the day where different waves of Twitter traffic are going to be, descending on tweets. So the other advantage too is, of course, now Google indexes tweets, right? So I mean, if you've got a few in there with a few links to your post and people are clicking them, then I think the inbound traffic is maybe increased a little bit by upping the tweet ratio. And I don't think it's spammy at all, because for the most part, again, it's about a blog post. So it does go back, it comes back to a blog. And I haven't really seen any atrocious misuse of the scheduling functions yet. So, but I mean, that says less about our product than it does about the person using it, right? So, exactly. I mean, all we can do is try to create a product that people will get the most out of, right? And if somebody uses it for evil instead of good, we can just shake our heads, right? Don't do that. That's black hat.
So, what about URL shorteners? Why do we need those with it built in?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess Twitter has its own shortener now, right? I mean, it's using it in its own clients. I don't know. I probably should know, but I don't know if they have an API client or an API for using that in third-party services yet. But some people just have a particular like for a service like TinyURL or some of the other ones. Obviously there's a necessity, because a blog post URL could be extremely long. It can be mysite.com/2011/06/ right, and it goes on, and then it's like, well, I have my tweet is now three characters long because my URL is so long. So shorteners are totally necessary. One of the great things that we added is support for URLs, which is spelt YOURLS. And it's a free extension that Google offers to allow you to host your own shortener domain through your site, and you enter in your credentials into WordTwit, and away you go. You've got your own shortener URL. So that's a great addition for WordTwit Pro. I think we'll add some more shorteners. People have requested, as customers request different shorteners, then we look into that. There's a few of them that require some extra work on the part of the shortener. So people aren't aware of this, but sometimes it takes longer for us because we have to get approval, because all of a sudden they see this flood of traffic coming. And sometimes the shortener services themselves will cut off the users or cut us off. So we have to get kind of whitelisted and let people know this is where these are coming from, right?
And it's not all automatic. You have a lot of manual abilities as well. So you can add and remove hashtags per post, and even the titles and anything else around it, can't you?
Well, there's some support for the templates. I think we'll get into a little bit more extension with tweet templates. And what the templates essentially do is you would choose in the admin what components you want to appear in that tweet that we're creating for you. So do you want the author name, the title of the post, a link, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some flexibility around those templates right now. But even beyond the templates, as you're mentioning, is manual mode. So you can just flip into edit in place mode and change the tweet that's going to go out however you want. Now, in the update that we're going to release probably next week, 3.05, we're updating that again so that we're going to do something even more intelligent, because with manual mode as it exists today, scheduling doesn't quite work because Twitter rejects duplicate tweets. So if you have set a manual tweet, then each subsequent tweet that we send out is going to be a duplicate. The only way around that is to change something about the tweet each time. When we have it set in automatic mode, that's no problem. We can change the link. But as soon as we go into manual mode, we don't know what we should touch and what we should leave because you've set it up manually. But we're going to try and be a little more intelligent about that. And in terms of the manually editing tweet template in 3.05, you don't change the link. We still take care of the link. Everything else is editable for you. That way we can create 3 different links, for example, if you scheduled your post to go out 3 times. So we'll be able to make it more hardy in 3.05 with manual editing. It's a big thing for a lot of people to be able to just change one tweet on one post, change a few words, shorten a title a little bit or whatever it is. And it's a capability that people have wanted for a long time. But as you can see in that, a last story that I gave you, there's so many considerations about manual mode that it's one of the reasons why it had to be a pro feature and why it took so long, because it was, again, we asked the question, okay, so if somebody's doing this with the manual tweet, what happens? And what if somebody wants to do that? What happens? Oh no, the permutations were just growing and growing. It was like, oh, I hate you, manual mode. But I think we're solving it now by saying, we'll start with the bare bones again, and then we'll look at what happens and what the issues are and solve them as we go in the point releases.
So you've started with Twitter as the main service, but why is Twitter such an important tool for advertising a new article?
I think it's just that it's a place that people are going now. In a way, it's becoming a new journalistic medium. How many times have I heard people say, I found out about Michael Jackson's death on Twitter, which I did. So, and I see stuff on the 6 o'clock news. I see stuff on tomorrow's 6 o'clock news that I found out about this morning on Twitter. So it's becoming a place where people realize they can get today's news now, right away, now on Twitter. So it's, I think that's why it's taking off so much. It's a social medium, it's a journalistic medium, it's an advertising promotional medium. It's just an incredible tool. I'm amazed at how well it's taken off, and I honestly think that it's the biggest reason why it's so successful is the limitation of 140 characters.
Which is quite ironic, isn't it? It's a limitation that's made it successful.
It is, and it's brilliant that way, that it forces people to give that short message. It's the short consumption of little bits, which in our culture, in our time, people, it's information overload. So to be able to, they can digest 140 characters very quickly, right? And you can scan through, hundreds of tweets in a matter of minutes and get information about all different kinds of things from the people that you follow and care about. So I think that's why it's such a huge tool. I also think that readers of your site, for example, they want to get the content the way that they want it. RSS was meant to solve that, but it didn't quite really solve that because there was really not much flexibility. Some RSS clients on the desktop, etc., added some additional functionality, the ability to share it. For example, a great iPhone app is Reader. It's also on iPad. And there's other RSS apps, but RSS isn't great. What makes it great is the client that's trying to take that content so that you can do all different kinds of things with it.
Yeah.
So what Twitter, I think, adds on top of those kinds of things is, again, the limitation of short bits of content, but the social component. So in a sea of information, who are you going to trust? Most times people, either consciously or unconsciously, are trusting the people they follow, they care about. The circle of 200 friends they have. What's so-and-so reading, right? Oh, I'll check that out. So there's a little bit more trust in the content. I know when I see links, posted from other people that I follow, that I'll generally check out that content because I think they're cool. Maybe that content's cool, right? So there's a little bit more trust in that relationship there too. I think as well for Twitter, when your followers follow you, they're expecting to get information about you. So for instance, they want to know, James, when you're posting next, right? So that way they don't have to go to your website. It's right there in their Twitter stream, right? Hey, I got a post. Oh, great, I can check it out. And as you know, using a tool like WP Touch Pro, you can provide different views for them if they're checking it out on iPad, on iPhone, or other mobile devices, right? So we always wanted WordTwit Pro. The integration I showed you earlier is really, it's a superficial integration, but the real integration is the ability to have two tools that are actually working together symbiotically in really great ways, right? With the social sharing, and then most of the time people are consuming that content on the go. So now you've got a tool to present it to them on the go, right? So we always saw them as being married together. And again, like our other plugins, we created WordTwit because we needed a tool like that to do what we wanted to do.
So with WordTwit then, let's say I'm just about to publish my article. It's all ready. There's no spelling mistakes or grammar errors. Love is there as it should be. What are the basic steps for getting our tweet automatically in the system?
Click publish.
And that's what we like, isn't it? No messing about.
Click publish on your post and out it goes. I guess we should mention too that in WordTwit Pro we've added a tweet queue, so you can see all the different scheduled tweets that are going to go out. There's also a few options there. You can either delete them if it was scheduled and you don't want to tweet it anymore. You can delete it from the tweet queue. You can also choose to tweet it now, so you can force it to go out right now instead of when it was scheduled to go out. So we'll extend the tweet queue as well. But that's a great tool, especially and these were the scenarios where certainly on multi-author sites, where you might have 6 authors, and then there could easily be 20 or 30 tweets that are all scheduled to go out. So that allows administrators to see all those tweets that people are sending out and decide whether yes they're all going out or not. Or again, if let's say you published a post, and I've done this on occasion because I'm always going from mirrors of our site. So we've got www.bravenewcode.com and a beta version here and a beta version there, and then I accidentally publish something. So the ability to go into the tweet queue, if you published it, okay, well, there's a tweet you got to delete on Twitter, but now you can go into the tweet queue and just delete all the other scheduled ones that you accidentally did in there. So there's some undo functionality, which in the free version there never was, right? It's like email, the free version, right? It's like exactly. You hit send, there's no get it back, bring it back to me, don't deliver that, right?
So WordTwit is already available to download from the WordPress plugins directory, but how do we get our hands on the Pro version, which is, by the way, highly recommended, as I'd certainly use that and WP Touch on my own website.
Thanks. Just simply go to bravenewcode.com. There's you'll see a little button down on the bottom with a little bird, and that's a link to WordTwit Pro, or you can simply go to bravenewcode.com/WordTwit-Pro. And that will take you to the product page, and you can look at all the different features and capabilities. Some great screenshots there. And down at the bottom of the page, there's 4 boxes. There's also a link there to the video, which I think you hopefully will put a link to when you post this. And that video is just kind of a walkthrough. It's me going through the whole tweet widget itself on the post page – and what the new functions and capabilities are for that.
and how much does it cost? Very important question for us tweeters out there.
If you're looking for money in the couch, it's maybe too expensive, but it's $39 Canadian. So it depends on where you are, whether that's more or less than 39 for you. I know recently some of our U.S. customers, the Canadian dollar is now worth more than the U.S. So some of them have said, "Hey, I thought it was $39. Why am I getting charged 41?" And we have to let them know, yes, a Canadian dollar. Yes, somehow we've managed up here in the north to have our dollar be worth a little bit more, but it's $39 for a single license. That's for a single WordPress installation. That gives you support and upgrades through all of the 3.x releases. And then it's $69 for 5 sites, 5 WordPress installations, and support on all those installations and upgrades, etc. And then it's only $99 for unlimited. So if you got a bunch of WordPress sites, or you have WordPress multi-user installations with thousands of blogs on it, it's only $99 to put it on those sites and be supported on everything you're doing.
Well, thank you for your time, Dale. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to continue using WordTwit Pro and WP Touch Pro, and goodness knows what other products you're going to be releasing in the future and updates. It's all very exciting stuff.
Thanks, James.
All the best.
Bye.